but it's just the excitement of seeing so many people from different parts of the world without having to travel. That's better than sleeping in. So I really appreciate you guys taking time to come here, to be with us, to make it happen, really. Let's talk a little bit about, I'm not going to take Jill's time because I know she's been waiting to talk to you, but I'll just introduce what the concept of design thinking is. It's just what it is, design thinking. It means solving problem, not sticking with those problems and saying, well, this is as good as it gets. We teachers are true innovators because in the classroom, when we face a problem, we always find a way. And the whole concept of design thinking education is to bring out those stories, because you must have heard this phrase, every teacher has a story, and that is true. Sometimes those stories get lost. Those experiments are never, appreciated, even by the teacher herself. She's like, meh, it's lame. For us, those little developments are not lame. They make a story, and we are sort of hoping to collect all these little adaptations, little changes, little experiments, both about experiments that worked and did not work, here to the forum. It's not about jargons, it's not about theories, it's about, I had a problem and I worked it out this way, maybe it works for others also. It's just a very simple concept, and that becomes a story. And that is, I think, the best I can explain about design thinking. It was not a term used in education until very recently. It comes from a service line. I feel like Jill wants to talk about it, so let me not go deeper into it. So without blurring it all out, I'm gonna sort of stop here. But thank you for being here today.
Yes, thank you, Manisha. So we can start. Yes, so let's open our conference. Dear participants, we welcome you at the second virtual conference organized by KG Soul Association and Online World of Learning USA. So the topic of our conference is design thinking education, and we are really thankful to the coordinator of Online World of Learning, Manisha Kaur. So she and we are Tyson, and so will we start with Jill's keynote? Can you hear me well?
It's a bit choppy, so go ahead, try again. Otherwise, no, your internet is determined today to give you a grief. I'm sorry. So what Miracle was trying to say is to invite Jill, who is an amazing, I don't know what can I say, this fairy who saved us all at the last moment. So thank you so much, Jill. Over to you.
Okay, great. Can you hear me? Am I clear? Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Even at the last minute, I'm honored and so happy to be that you invited me to open this conference with you today. And yes, it's right, Manisha. I have a little bit to say about design thinking today. This theme of design thinking, it's ubiquitous these days, and I believe that its popularity has grown because of the ways that we've shifted our ways of doing things in almost every sector of life. So humans, we evolved from an outdoor nomadic lifestyle to an indoor and more agricultural and industrial living. And today, well, we're living largely online. We shop online, we bank online, we talk to our family and friends online, we plan our next vacation online, and we learn online. So as educators, we've experienced this shift towards technology, not only because it is by design an easy and accessible platform to search and learn, but also because of viral and other global events that pushed us into adapting our teaching online with hybrid and online classes and environments. So even though now we're getting back on our feet and in our cars and back to the classroom, these modes and methods of education are constantly evolving. And learning and teaching with technology in formal classrooms and informally, it's happening in massive quantities by people all over the globe. So it makes sense then that the design of these platforms is easy to use and accessible. So with the help of the internet, we can pursue our own personal and professional research or learning interest, and also we can accomplish the needed adaptations and changes in teaching when called upon to do so. We know we can do this because we've done it. You, like me, want to make the world a better place. We want to turn our students out that are going to grow up and change the world. So on one hand, we want to design the best plan, a great curriculum and lessons that are going to meet the needs of our learners. It makes sense that we look far and wide out on the internet for ideas that are going to help us. And on the other hand, we have this group or many groups of students in front of us in our classes every day. And these students are listening to our ideas and our methods 45 minutes to several hours every week. And you know, time is an irreplaceable resource. So when we think about it that way, our students are giving us their most precious commodity. That, to me, makes the task of teaching and responsibility to our students huge. So how do we reconcile this infinite amount of information that's out there, all the good programs and advice with our daily work, with wherever you're standing right now? How can we be involved in changing big systems and making the world a better place, and also maintaining day in and day out responsibility to the students who are sitting in our classes? How can we create and think about the best design? This is the place in my keynote that I answer the question, why not me? Why not now? And the answer is because if not you, then who? So let's unpack that a little bit. So the core of design thinking is human-centered, and it revolves around a deep need and interest to understand the people for whom we design products and services, including education. One thing that keeps coming up over and over in all the new approaches to education is the importance of knowing your learner. So I recently talked to a teacher who said it's impossible for her to know all the learners in her classroom because she has 40 students and only 45 minutes, and she has one student that's totally disengaged and won't do anything. How can she understand a student if she can't take time to talk to him? It's a teacher's dilemma, and it's a perennial problem, a rhetorical question that teachers ask all over the world. Maybe a good place to start with a group like that would be to ask them to write you a letter and describe themselves. They could write it, of course, in L1, and it wouldn't be a graded assignment, They would need to tell you what their interests are, the way they like to learn or they like to study, and some facts about their life outside of school and their family if they feel open enough to share that. Of course, if you have smaller classes, you can get this same information in other ways. Maybe instead of introducing our students to every new gadget or application as soon as it hits the market, or turning ancient methodologies upside down completely, running 100 miles an hour just to keep up with everything that new that we have access to, maybe we could come back to today, to the four walls of our classroom and to the community that we live in. Maybe instead of spending hours of planning time attempting to teach using every new approach under the sun, you come back home and you remember who you are. Most likely, you didn't come into teaching by accident. Everyone in this conference took steps to train ourselves. We got a university education, we have certified training, and our motivation, most of our motivation, is to make an impact on the world via the instrument of our students and our classrooms. Oh, don't forget, you have interests too. Some of you are yogis, others are musicians. Some of you love flowers or sports, and some of you are passionate about volunteerism. Can you bring yourself, not all those other people that you see and hear on the World Wide Web, into your classroom? Guess what? By doing this, we're engaging in the first part of design thinking. So design thinking is referred to in most design thinking flowcharts, like as the empathy stage. That's the first part. You can call it whatever you want to. You can call it empathy. You can call it assessing your needs or students, understanding the problem. So if I have a son that's a rock climber, and if you are familiar with bouldering and rock climbing, you might know that a bouldering route, it's called a problem. It's called a problem because it takes some time to figure it out before you physically start to climb that route. You have to study it, and you have to work out the best way to climb it. You don't just hop on the rock. Not everybody is going to be using the same moves in a given problem. And figuring that out is a very personal step. So as teachers, there are two obvious problems. First, figuring out who we are as a teacher. And secondly, figuring out who our students are. If we have a better understanding of who we are as educators and who students are in any given class, it helps us to see our real teaching capabilities, the local context, the needs of our learners, and to set expectations for the courses that we teach. Every one of our learners is a unique human. Approaching our class this way challenges the cookie cutter educational models, the one-size-fits-all suggestions we might find on the internet. You might ask, do you need a special education to be a good design thinker and create a good learning environment for students? Do we need to graduate from the top university, have 30 years of experience to be a minister of education to have good ideas or create a good design? No, we don't. Let me ask another question. Do you think it's possible for teachers in Kyrgyzstan, Mexico, Cyprus, Bangladesh, wherever you're from around the world, to design innovative and creative ideas in the seed bed of your own mind? Yeah, you can. And not only is it possible for you to bear ideas, but local born organic ideas that you try out in your classroom can be the real catalyst in regional, national, worldwide systematic change. Like the garages of Steve Jobs of Apple and Jeff Bezos of Amazon and the creators of Google, you are the garage where systematic educational challenges are tackled head on and will be overcome. Now, I'm not suggesting that we don't get ideas from others. Otherwise, I would have refused an offer to present this keynote because I would believe that it would be useless to you. Taking time out of our schedule to reach across borders is necessary for continued education. And we're grateful for the opportunities and the technologies that we have. What I am referring to is that while you have the whole world at your fingertips, you also shouldn't forget that you're thinkers and you're innovators and you're local experts. You don't only have a responsibility to take in information from out there somewhere. You need to also be a creator and a designer and be involved in the process and the products that are effective for your students. How, you might ask? Those of you who know me already, you know that I've been thinking and talking about divergent and convergent thinking for a few years. So I have the same idea as Harvard educators, and I demonstrate it this way. I ask participants usually to stand up and raise their hands and heads to the sky and take in a couple of deep breaths. And after that, I ask them to stay standing, but now to fold forward and to reach for their feet or hug themselves with their arms wrapped around the back of their legs. Likewise, I ask participants to take a few deep breaths, and once everyone's back in their chairs, I ask them how they felt with their arms outstretched. Often I hear things like, oh, I felt open, I felt relaxed, like I can do anything. And when I ask them how they feel when they fold forward, they reply, in control, focused, safe, and they have more conscious thoughts about their breath. So we can take this simple exercise and describe the difference between divergent and convergent thinking. So with our arms outstretched, we can use our creative minds to ideate and brainstorm about our own ideas and the teaching challenges that we face. And then we synthesize these ideas that come from our prior education and praxis with what we know from training sessions, conferences, and other professionals online. We think how these methodologies and approaches might come together and might be applied or realized or converge into a Kyrgyz village school, or a large school in a Mexican town, or a major city anywhere. Design thinking attempts to solve the right problem. So we've already named two right problems. Who am I? And who are my students? Are there other problems? Yeah, of course there are. Yeah, teachers, we're looking for the real cause of our teacher challenges, like boredom in the classroom, for example. We must look at the fundamental issues that cause problems. Why are my students bored? Why are they inattentive? Why don't they care about my class? Once we attempt to answer these questions through divergent thinking, we collect those ideas and we ask ourselves, at what place in the system can I really make a difference and an improvement in my class? We can come up with our ideas, we integrate them through small changes, interventions, and we look at the results and we learn from it.
Jill, you are muted.
Have I been muted for a long time?
No, not
Just
long.
for seconds.
Oh, okay, I don't know how that happened, sorry. All right, yeah, so it's not easy to be a change maker. And we can't solve these problems just overnight. But as design thinkers, we have to jump into this stream of techniques and we have to solve our teacher problems. And we have to start somewhere. We can't know all the variables up front, but we can't be afraid to start. Working alone or together with parents, local government, peer teachers, school staff, and students, anyone who cares, we can and we will make a difference. If you're still a little bit afraid to go alone, look around for others nearby who are already leading in the right way. Can you join them? So in design thinking, trying it out is called the prototype and testing stage. So along with empathy, design, ideation, prototyping and testing means trying it out. By watching your progress and process, your students are also going to understand something about your bravery, that you're going to get out of your comfort zone. And by going out of our comfort zone, we're going to find things that are going to work and better ways to meet all our students in our classes. I spoke about time being the most valuable resource earlier. So let's honor the time that we have by throwing out those lengthy directions, confusing processes. Take time to explain to your students step by step how to work in groups, your expectations for pair work, and even how you want them to come in and go out of your classroom if there's a learning goal attached. You're not explaining all of this to your students because you think they're stupid. You're doing it because you believe that they're so important that you don't want to waste 1 ounce of their effort and have time wasted. So once you know yourself and your students, don't be afraid to try your other ideas. A new Energizer, a STEM lesson, a conservation project, something new with your students. In short, don't be afraid of anything, because in the end, we're learning together with our students. And one thing is for sure, if you don't change anything, if you don't try anything, if you don't test your ideas, nothing's going to change. And you'll be having the same conversation next year and the year after that and every year. Thank you.